Well, an estimated 22,000 breast implant insertions were performed in Australia in 2022. But now, more than ever before, women are opting to remove their cosmetic enhancements. The rise in this trend has been linked to a debilitating illness and other associated health risks.
Best-selling author and wellness coach Andi Lew documents her cautionary tale in the new book Treasured Chest, exposing explants and empowering you.
And Andi Lew joins us now live from LA. Morning to you, Andi. What made you want to get implants in the first place?
I mean, I don't know. Look at me. No, seriously. No woman should ever want to have to do anything to her body. Treasured Chest is all about owning that feminine divine, and even there are mastectomy patients that are now embracing their flat and just coming back to their divine organic state again after reading the book. And I must say, though, it is so important to acknowledge that, you know, the elephant in the room is why on earth would a wellness expert ever do anything like this when we know that these bags are completely toxic? I do talk about it in my book and just say that it came from a trauma sort of perspective where I felt like I had to put something over my heart. And what I realised in this healing journey and in this, you know, journey as an author is that what's behind our chests is our heart.
Okay, nicely put. Now, the enhancements ended up making you sick, although breast implant illness is not really well understood. What are the symptoms and how did they impact you?
Look, everybody that is expressing breast implant illness is saying that they have things like inflammation, and not just in the area of the chest, but in every part of their body. There's new data to support that implants are the inflammatory driver. So straight after my explant surgery, and for the first time in the world, explants are on the rise, and there are no longer implants being the #1 cosmetic surgery ever. So that's just huge, that the data is showing that implants are the inflammatory driver causing a cytokine storm or an inflammatory response. So there's inflammation going on everywhere in the body. You have tinnitus or brain buzzing. You can have hair loss, which is what I also had. You can have blurry vision. You can have your natural detoxification pathways just all starting to shut down. You have feelings of even wanting to die because you kind of are dying, like your body's overwhelmed because it can't detox from these heavy metals. And, you know, it doesn't have to be saline or silicone. Just having the implants itself is going to cause that cytokine storm.
Andi, you say you had an undetected rupture, but then it didn't show up in any scans. I find that remarkable.
I know, right? And medicine isn't a perfect science. I was doctor hopping, so I went to 6 different surgeons begging to be triaged and to be seen because I just knew something was wrong. I could feel it exactly on the left side. And, you know, what we're now learning is, and even the FDA have announced, that silicone is not inert. So now they're looking for an entire gel bleed, which is very possible. And, you know, even the saline implants could have mold in them. And so all of these things can be making you sick. But then again, you don't need to have a rupture to have breast implant illness. But what I find really interesting as well is that BII isn't an official diagnosis, meaning that it's very hard to have any sort of successful suit against the original implanting surgeon or the product manufacturer themselves. Even Allergan has had like a complete total recall of all of their textured products, and now of course there's always going to be the next latest and greatest. But if we go back to that data and that research and remember that the FDA have said, you know, silicone is not inert, then you really are dealing with a ticking time bomb here.
Okay. Hey, was the explant surgery painful? How was the recovery?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Larry, because, you know, we do have to acknowledge that we want to remove that deep shame within ourselves of why we did this to ourselves in the first place. That's the first thing. The second thing that we need to acknowledge is the financial strain. Then, of course, besides the emotional healing and the financial stress of it all, we do have to go through the physical healing itself. For me, as soon as I had those implants out, and they do remove the surrounding scar tissue as well. The scar tissue is so important to be sent off to the labs to be tested for the new types of cancers, squamous cell carcinoma and anaplastic large cell lymphoma. So when I had all of this removed, I actually felt alive again immediately. Things like, you know, I was able to sweat again when I wasn't able to sweat before. Libido increased, vision wasn't blurry. All of these things started coming back immediately, and I just felt really well. Wow. But then the healing journey goes on in different layers, where some women report, and this is millions of women who are dying to be well across the world because they can't afford this $14,000 surgery, but they're all trying to say that, you know, I start feeling a little bit worse afterwards, and that's when the real detoxing starts to begin.
Wow.
You could be detoxing from parasites, detoxing from mould, detoxing from heavy metals itself.
Oh my, you are such an expert on this. I think anyone who has implants and is second-guessing them, perhaps they need to get hold of your book. It's called Treasured Chest. And what will people find in the book, Andy?
Look, so much. You know, we've got stats and facts. The original diagnosing doctor, Dr. Tania Ash, she's put some great things in there. Professor Deva, who was the explant surgeon. You need to understand it's a total, complete capsulectomy that needs to happen. And then, obviously, as a wellness expert and coach, I'm guiding you through that detoxification process and that emotional journey. We now have interest here in LA of producers wanting to turn this into a documentary. So I'm so excited that you gave me the opportunity to keep helping others.
Oh.
Anytime. Andy, always lovely to talk to you. Thank you. Andi Lew's book, Treasured Chest, is available right now.
I love the passion. Thanks, Andy.